I bet you, like many others, struggle to understand what are true Russian goals and aims in the war in Ukraine. You see, there is a sea of information on the internet where a lot of people try to decode Russian behavior without any prior knowledge of Russia or of Russian politics or of Russian foreign policy. And I think this results in a lot of misinformation and very often outright propaganda on the internet. So in today's video, I want to give you a snippet of true Russian intentions, and I will, turn this into recurring series on my YouTube channel, where I will talk more about how to understand Russian foreign policy behavior and how you can understand Russian true goals and ambitions when you read this constant news cycle about negotiation process that is happening right now. So let me start first with saying that Russian war in Ukraine is not what you think it is. Namely, it is not the war against the West. It actually is the war into it is Russian war, or put it differently, main Russian war aim is to actually get a certain type of future in the West, or one can say recognition from the West. So, what do I exactly mean by that? What I mean is that, so from my research, from my academic research, and I would just say my research experience, Russia is fighting in Ukraine to secure changes of the European security architecture. And Ukraine in this geopolitical game is actually just, piece of the puzzle, but it's not the puzzle in itself. You see, Russia doesn't really want to conquer Ukraine for the sake of conquering it. It also doesn't really want Ukrainian land just for the sake of, expanding its empire, as you can frequently read, in Western news articles or news media or Western media outlets. So instead, what Russia tries to achieve in Ukraine is to hold Ukraine as a hostage in negotiation process over the future of European security architecture. And the central piece, of course, of this puzzle is the future Ukrainian membership in NATO. And you see, while waging the war in Ukraine, Russia automatically has a say in the future of European security architecture. Whether Europeans understand that or whether they like it or not, that's, secondary questions to Russian foreign policy objectives. So when you look at the negotiation process, and Putin often says that without solving root cause of this war, no peace deal is possible. He actually, I think, implies specifically that. He implies that without settling the question of NATO expansion, which automatically translates into the question of the future of the European security architecture, no peace is achievable. And that is why you can if you want to explain why, for example, why Putin resists any attempts to freeze the conflict or any attempts to settle it via ceasefire, it is precisely because of that. Because from Russian perspective, freezing the conflict akin to Korean scenario, not only it doesn't really solve Russian problems, but it only exacerbates Russian situation in the future, because without any substantial solution to the question of NATO expansion, I mean, it will, very plausibly eventually happen in the future, or even if it doesn't happen, Russia will be completely excluded from any European security framework. So, um, so this is, you need to understand this is actually primary Russian security goal and security concern, which again is a very counterintuitive perspective, because tells you tells you that Russia, doesn't actually fight the West, or instead it fights for the place in the West itself, or in other words, it fights for redefinition of European security architecture. And I think um, this understanding really helps you to grasp a certain, I would say, research problems when people analyze Russian foreign policy behavior, such as why Russia actually tried to integrate into the West in 90s and zeros, and once the attempts to integrate failed, it started acting violently. And when you consume predominantly Western media analysis, it completely fails to actually explain this type of problem, right? Because what it tries to say very often is that Russia is either imperial power or anti-Western power, or it just wants to destroy liberal international order. And I think this perspective actually just fails to explain, but hold on, if Russia actually wants to destroy the West, or if it wants to destroy liberal international order, why on earth it tried to integrate into it in the first place? And some people would say, it was like Russian ploy. But actually, if you go and study archives, or if you study even accounts of public diplomacy from zeros, you can see that Russia sincerely wanted to integrate into the West. And everything that happened, let's say, after the annexation of Crimea, was a certain attempt to make it unequivocally clear that Russia is serious about redefining European security landscape. So let me know what you think about this take in the comments. Subscribe to my channel, because I will create many more videos um, like this in the future. And please like and support this channel. And I hope you're having a great day, and I see you in the next one. Peace.